Hello, welcome back, Kristen Constantino. You should have watched my latest video on self-compassion, understanding maybe why you stayed in that toxic and abusive relationship for too long, and practicing self-compassion to help you propel forward. Now today I want to get more inward and talk about shadow work. Maybe you've heard of this term before and you're like, what is it? How is it helpful? And maybe some exercises and discovering your shadow. So that's exactly what we're going to be covering today. What is the shadow? Carl Jung, a famous psychologist, came up with this terminology of your shadow, or in other words, it is the repressed personality traits that is lurking undercover in your unconscious mind that you have pushed back because of negative feedback growing up. For instance, maybe you're sensitive and you got some negative feedback from that. Therefore, you're going to repress it and not bring it into light and be your true, authentic self. So what is the shadow? Psychologist Carl Jung was the one that pegged this terminology. And essentially your shadow is any repressed personality traits that you naturally have within your soul, with who you are authentically, that has been pushed down based on your experiences, possibly from your childhood, or an experience of it saying, this is bad, you shouldn't have it. So a lot of times you can look at it as a guilt-laden personality trait that you're not sharing authentically because you don't believe it is valuable. You don't believe it should be shown. Now you could have negative shadows, which is something that's highlighted a lot, and I'm going to walk you through ways to discover that. You can also have your positive shadow, which is something that you don't think about it as much. You're like, why would I push down something positive? Well, for instance, maybe you are super sensitive and the environment that you are surrounded in has taught you to believe. Remember the belief equation? Event plus emotion plus explanation equals your belief. Cause you to believe that this is wrong. So what do? You're not operating in your true authentic self. You're repressing that person that you truly are because you believe it's bad. So how is this related to being in toxic relationships or having certain codependencies? Well, a lot. What happens when you're not aware of what your shadow is? What happens when you repress certain things within you, whether they're positive or negative? You're not operating in your true authentic self. And therefore, you don't probably even know the things that you need in a partner or in any type of relationship, whether it's with yourself, family members, co-workers, friends, right? So with that being said, you have a strong disconnection with who you are. And that's where the problem is when you don't do this type of work. Who has a shadow? Everybody. Some people are better at identifying it and embracing it, whether it's good or bad, than others. So today I want to walk you through figuring out what your negative shadow is, learning how to embrace it, in addition to some things maybe positively that you've been repressing over the years. So let's have some fun. Get out a pen, paper, maybe take this on your notes, whatever is best for you. Sometimes I like to advise my clients that are not big at writing, doing an audio journal from your voice memos. The first question that I'm going to ask you is identifying the area in which you struggle with the most. Question number 2 is write down what you dislike or judge when it comes to people. For instance, I would say not having an open mind and choosing to listen to respond as opposed to listen to understand. Number 3, I want you to ask yourself and write this down. What do you admire most about yourself? can go ahead and write it down, own it, embrace it, love it. Number 4, you've identified your shadow. More often than not, the opposite of number 3 is going to be what your shadow is. Something that you've repressed, maybe something that you might be ashamed that's within you all this time. And a lot of times it's going to correspond with number 1 and 2. Now that you've identified your negative shadow, what I want you to do is to love and embrace it. Because the more that you love and embrace about all the things about you, not just the positive, but also the negatives, because guess what? Here's where the compassion comes in. Everyone has them. Weaknesses are not good or bad, they just are, right? We're designed human. So I want you to consider embracing it, loving it, owning it. And then as far as serving people in your relationships, being authentic and talking to them and being vulnerable with yourself and other people, because that opens up the gate for more vulnerability and connection in your relationships. Let's talk about your positive shadow. The first question is to write down all the things that you admire in other people. Guess what? It's your own greatness that you're seeing in others exuding out. Number 2, are you expressing what you admire in others? Are you repressing some of that positive shadow that you have been taught so long ago that it's wrong and you don't want to shine it out? Think about that today. Because if that's the case, then you're not truly being your most authentic self, which is going to make it so much harder to have harmonious, loving, and enriching relationships. In the comments, say, I give myself permission to be and embrace all of me. Negative, positive, shadow, all of it. Because when you make the decision to truly embrace who you are, it gives more trust for yourself. It gives more trust for the relationships that you have with others. And until you can get honest with yourself, it's not easy looking in the mirror. Trust me, I know. That's when you will have the most incredible relationships that will last a lifetime. Healthy, beautiful, and harmonious. I believe in you. Speaking of a healthy relationship, next video, stay tuned, because I want to give you 10 ways to identify a truly healthy relationship. Because the more awareness we have, the better, and the better decisions that we're going to make with the people that we surround ourselves with. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if this is information that you love and you're going to get continuous value going forward. Love you.